Hello everyone, my name is ThirstyBat and I'm here with another in-depth analysis of SnowRunner's engines. In today's episode we'll have a look at the Fleetstar F2070A and all of its engines. We'll discuss what makes it great, what makes it horrible, if anything, and why you should probably keep it in your fleet. Forever. In my last episode I created a set of tests for the CK1500 resulting in a satisfying report of its engines. If you haven't seen it, I'll add it to the card at the end of this video. For the CK1500 the tests were focused on off-roading and light cargo hauling, and for a scout that's okay. But for a heavy-duty truck it's a bit underwhelming. That means that I had to develop another set of practical tests suitable for this marvel of machinery. And so I did. The first test starts at the garage, going through the pass onto the road up to the log station. There I load the truck with long logs and go back on the gas station's route through the town to the maps exit. The test conditions are: on asphalt, I drive using the transmission on auto and with the all-wheel drive disengaged. On rough terrain, I drive using the transmission on auto or low plus with the all-wheel drive engaged. And on mud, it's free for all, whatever makes it move. The truck configuration is off-road gearbox, stock suspension, UOD2 tire set and long log cargo setup. I'll skip over the part where the truck is empty since it performed without any problem and there is not much to look at. The slope through which I get out of the log station was handled without a hitch. By the time I ended up doing the actual tests, I had decided to go up the slope in auto to see the difference in engine behavior when under stress. Both the 1900 and the Westline handled the incline without any problems. The 1900 stuck to the first and the second gear, while the Westline went steady through the gears up to the hill's apex. The problem was the 2100T. It constantly tried to do the same thing that the Westline was doing but failed. Whenever it reached the third gear, it would have too little power and go back to the first gear. It can be easily seen on the plots for the time it took to finish the test, and directly related to it, the total fuel used. Okay, so now let's look at the data we gathered. The first plot shows the average fuel usage per minute for each engine. The base engine has the best result here, with the Westline having the worst outcome and using 6% more fuel. The time needed by each engine was around 15 minutes and 30 seconds, with the Westline being 2% faster than the base engine. For everything lower than 3%, I'll take it as a human error since I can't make identical runs, so I'll ignore it and consider the values equal. That brings the base engine and the Westline in the green for this criteria. For the total fuel usage, the 1900 and the Westline are at the same level, with a less than 3% difference and the 2100T having used 7% more fuel than the base engine. Again, the 1900 and the Westline take the crown. As for the playtime, the differences are small, but significant enough to take into consideration. The most time you get to play is the base engine, with the Westline having the worst score, 6% less playtime. Now let's give them the appropriate points, sum them up, and see where each engine stands for this test. The first place will receive 5 points, the second 3 points, and the third 1 point. And the first place goes to the base engine, with the 2100T and the Westline getting both the second place. Cancelling each other's flaws, I guess, technically. The second test starts at the garage. Big surprise. From there, I'll head to the factory using the long path, I'll load the truck with metal beams and from there head north through the swamp. From there I'll go to the log station and then to the gas station. At the gas station I'll take the mountain pass back to the garage and that's where the test ends. The test conditions are: on asphalt I drive using the transmission on high and with the all-wheel drive disengaged. On rough terrain I drive using the transmission on high or low plus with the all-wheel drive engaged. And on mud, whatever works. The truck configuration is off-road gearbox, race suspension, UOD2 tire set, and sideboard bed. All the engines felt outstanding throughout this test. I love this truck and everything about it, and I think this is true for most of us. Also, receiving it so early in the game is a godsend. The base engine handled itself through the mud using the high gear without a hitch, due to its lower power and lower angular speed of the wheels. This gave the tires time to unload the dirt and get a better grip on the terrain. The Westline had a bit of a hard time with the mud. Due to its high torque, the resulting higher angular speed of the wheels reduced the amount of unloaded dirt between spins, having less friction in high gear and low plus, leaving the wheel spinning in place. Wasting fuel and time until realizing that I have to change into a lower gear, and though they were only a second or two, the wasted time can be seen on the charts. With that out of the way, let us dive into the data and see what we got. The base engine is the best for average fuel usage. The rest are getting progressively hungrier, with the Westline using 12.5% more. The time is pretty much equal between engines, having a less than 3% difference between each other. And since the time is not changed, the total fuel usage and the maximum playtime are correlated to the average gas used. This test doesn't prove to have given us much information. But it showed us that the base engine is more than capable of transporting any cargo on any terrain. Of course, I consider this only applies to non-Russian maps, since this is the only place that I have tested it yet. Okay, so now let's sum them up and see what we have. And we have the base engine taking the first place, followed by the 2100T and the Westline. The circuit for the third test is the same as for the second one. The only difference being that this time I'll tow a 2-slot trailer. I'll use one from a mod with off-road tires since the swamp is already hard enough to go through. I'll add the link to the mod in the description. The test conditions are: on asphalt, I drive using the transmission on high and with the all-wheel drive disengaged. On rough terrain, I drive using the transmission on high or low plus, with the all-wheel drive engaged. And on mud, whatever makes it go forward. The truck configuration is off-road gearbox, race suspension, UOD2 tire set, sideboard bed, and sideboard bed trailer with off-road tires. In this test, the differences between engines felt more tangible than in the previous ones. Although the values from the data show that all three engines performed somewhat similarly, what is not shown on the plots is what I want to talk about. The base engine and the Westline felt natural to drive in this test. The base engine was my favorite because of its more tamed behavior. On the other hand, the 2100T felt out of place, like it didn't belong with the other two. The whole ensemble was too heavy, and with the engine having too much torque, the wheels would spin in place since the tire did not provide enough friction. Because of this, most of the time when I wasn't on asphalt, I drove using the low plus and low gears. And this is the only scenario where the segment graph of the engine is valid, since based on it, the only difference between engines is the torque, and not the fuel usage. The fuel usage graph shows a difference of 0.6% for the 2100T and 3% for the Westline. For such a long circuit and heavy load, I consider this a small distinction between engines. In terms of time, the Westline was the fastest, distancing himself from the base engine by 5% and the 2100T slower by 4%. Although the Westline used a bit more fuel, because it was faster, the total fuel usage was lower by 6% than the base engine, and with the 2100T using 5% more. The playtime difference between engines is small. They all offer a playtime of approximately 26 minutes. The Westline gave a bit less playtime but did more with it. Let's sum them up and see what we have. The first place is taken by the base engine and the Westline, with the 2100T getting second. So now that we have the results for all the tests, let's check which engine looks like the best option overall. Apparently the base engine is the most versatile one, with the 2100T and the Westline taking second place. The Westline getting second place is primarily due to the second test, where it used a lot of fuel to get the same time as the rest of the engines. If you disagree with my results, please leave a comment and I'll be more than happy to talk it over. And if you have a favorite truck you want me to test, add it in the comment section and I'll do my best to get to it sooner rather than later. In the next episode of this series, I'll test the Chevrolet Kodiaq C70, so if you are a fan of it, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you think I should have done something differently, please don't hesitate to tell me in the comment section. Until next time, have fun everyone!